Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Today I want to give you an update in a story that I covered earlier, and it's about Ukrainian refugees. So apparently the last story I reported said that about 9 million had left Ukraine, and I wasn't sure because it didn't say where were they going to. So this article from Al Jazeera, which I usually don't like reading because they are very biased in my opinion. They don't report everything just as it is. Anyway, so this particular piece was saying that 8.7 million people. So the previous article said 9, so maybe it is a little bit different, but not by much. So what happened is they did some kind of a poll, and they were interviewing people, and they said what their opinion was about whether to stay in their host country or going back to Ukraine or something else. So these are the results. They say 65% of people who responded were planning to stay in their current host country, 9% were planning to move to another host country within the next month, and the interview was with about 5,000 Ukrainian refugees in the Czech Republic or Czechia, Hungary, Moldova, Poland, Romania, and Slovakia. So they say the majority of participants in the survey expressed their hope to return to their home communities as soon as possible. And then there is this map. So this is exactly what I was looking for, but it was not included in the previous video. So they are showing where the refugees are going. Very small amount going to Belarus, bigger amount going to Russia, and basically to neighboring countries is the biggest amount. Just Romania and Moldova together is about 1.3 million, almost as much as refugees going to Russia, but it's a significant amount because the population of Romania and Moldova is very, very small. I think there was a statistic that Moldova was the country that received the highest amount of refugees per capita compared to every other country, especially because Moldova is so small, and also the population is very small. So Hungary, Slovakia, Poland, big amount to Poland, but a lot of them don't stay in Poland as far as I know. They just stay there temporarily, then they move to other places. Here we have Slovakia, and next to it is Czechia. So anyways, interesting all this information, and they say about 16% of people plan to return to Ukraine in the coming 2 months, with 15% of those only planning to stay temporarily to visit family, get supplies, or help relatives to evacuate. You know, from merely, how to say, security point of view, I wonder what these people are thinking, to be honest. Why are they planning to return to Ukraine? You know, I saw this phenomena, and they are mentioning here, they say a higher proportion of refugees from Kiev and areas to the west were planning to return than those who arrived from the east and the north. So I think there is this kind of tendency of people to think that things are going back to normal, and this is not only reflected in the population going back to Kiev, but in the views of the government. I recently reported on this kind of meeting or symposium, some kind of organization had a meeting there in Switzerland, and they were already planning for the reconstruction of Ukraine. I find all those actions very bizarre, like I reported before, because in my opinion, it will be more important to focus on the peace. But they are already talking about reconstruction, but they don't want to sit and talk about peace. So it's very silly. As far as the civilians go, I really don't know what they are thinking. Honestly, it's very interesting to see why they want to go back to a country where there is war. Um, I don't understand it. I have never been in this kind of situation. But I will imagine that is part of the propaganda of the Ukrainian leadership that makes them feel like everything's okay when it's not. I mean, I will prefer to be in a place where I will be safe for until things become more clear, you know. So that's it. And they mention, of course, most of the arrivals have been women and children because, as you know, men between 18 and 60 have been asked to remain in Ukraine to fight. And this was also interesting because I never heard these numbers before. Inside Ukraine, about 8 million people have also been internally displaced. That means people left their community from one city and moved to another. So this is internal displacement. This is also significant. So altogether, about 17 million, almost half of the population of Ukraine has been affected by all this migration, whether internal or external. So that's it as far as this goes. And recently there was this interesting story. I find it even a little bit funny. Says that North Korea recognized the breakaway republics of Luhansk and Donetsk. This is a photo of the embassy of the Donetsk People's Republic in Moscow, by the way. First time I see it. So yeah, North Korea, together with Russia and Syria, are the only three countries in the world to recognize them. I think it's positive. It's positive because brings more official recognition and makes it everything more clear for the path in the future for these republics. I was recently wondering why the regions in Georgia have not recognized them, like South Ossetia and the other one. I forgot what was the name. So yeah, the two regions of Georgia that are also breaking away from Georgia. I think we can take a look here. Actually, Georgia. Maybe South Ossetia. Yes, so it is South Ossetia. It doesn't say here. South Ossetia. Abkhazia is the other one. Okay, yeah, so South Ossetia and Abkhazia. South Ossetia is on this side, and Abkhazia is right next to the sea. Abkhazia. Yeah, so this is the region of Abkhazia. So it is much larger. Yeah, so, and as a consequence of this, Ukraine decided to break diplomatic relationships with North Korea, while the leader of the Donetsk People's Republic said that he hoped for fruitful cooperation and increased trade with North Korea. I think that will also give some kind of positive impact for North Korea. Is maybe early to speculate, but I think North Korea is always looking to make friends instead of enemies. That's my opinion. So there were even some news that Ukraine was very angry, and that's why they completely severed relations with Pyongyang. They were interviewing people, and they say they had a positive opinion about this. And they also say that North Korea previously expressed support for Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. That was new for me. I didn't know about that before. And recently, this lady, which is a journalist, her name is Katerina Bakhbalova, she was sentenced to 8 years for state treason in Belarus. So is something I disagree completely. Why they will sentence a journalist to 8 years in prison for state treason? Imagine that, What kind of treason will be to just say your opinion about something? And so apparently she was covering the protests against President Alexander Lukashenko. Initially, she was sentenced to 2 years, apparently. Yeah, 2-year sentence for violating public order. So that was in 2020. And now they are sentencing for 8 years more. So that is, she's very young actually. She's 28 years old. And she was arrested with another journalist, Daria Shultsova. And they were filming one of the anti-government rallies. And that was, maybe there was something else. I don't know the entire story, but I think it's very sad. Everything that goes against freedom of expression, in my opinion, all kinds of censorship, giving too much power to the government, I'm completely against that. I think most governments cannot be trusted for different reasons, and yeah, that's very sad news in my opinion. And the latest is from the Pacific. In Australia, some B-2 stealth bombers from the United States are going to participate in some Pacific Air Force's Bomber Task Force exercises. And mainly they say that they will use the B-2S That's the code name for the airplanes, for the bombers. To plot strategy, deterrence, and other training missions to maintain security in the Indo-Pacific. The exercise is part of the Australia-US Force Posture Agreement's Enhanced Cooperation Initiative. They really like these very long names, right? Anyway, it's more of the same that we already reported. The United States creating problems and raising tensions in the area. That's what is my opinion. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section. And as always, I ask you to please like this video, share it in social media, and subscribe to the channel. I want to ask you for your help because my channel needs to grow, and my statistics currently show that only about 20% of people who watches my videos subscribe. 80% of people who watches the videos don't subscribe, so it is really important for me to have more people supporting me. I recently also mentioned that I need some support, financial support from my viewers. I currently don't qualify for monetization. I post in different platforms. Even though I have had my channel for over 2 years, I still don't qualify for monetization. And if you have been following the news, there has been a wave of censorship, especially in the YouTube platform, where they are censoring and monetizing even big channels for talking about politics, which is one of the main topics I deal with this channel. Even though I have different topics, is probably one of the topics that I talk about the most. So I'm asking for your support in this way. There are different ways to support me. I always post those links in the description. So the first one that I always recommend is Wise. Wise is a very good platform. You can donate any amount you want, and it will be converted from your home currency to euros, for example, or anything else. And you can donate as little as $3. And we also have Patreon. And depending on the platform, there are other options as well, but I think these are the two main ones. Always prefer Wise donations, and they are more simple, but it's up to you. So I ask you to please support my work, and so I can continue creating content for you. That's all for now. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.